If we get sponsored.
What?
If we get sponsored.
What's that?
I'm sure they will be here to check both big large projects.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose we're gonna throw that in this one.
Well, but I mean, how much less was that bid you got within the total of this one?
Was 57, Jerry?
Like it was 47.
Oh, 47. 47.
So you got $47,000, so we're,
But I mean, that's a rough guess. I'm
Yeah.
sure when it comes down to it, he's gonna tack some other stuff on. To, you know, he said if right now the county would say, here, we'll do this, it would be 47,000. So
Right.
with FEMA, if we're gonna add this in, the water and different things like that. I don't blame if he throws in another 20.
Yeah. You know, that wouldn't be,
Then the other concern to look at too is we're going to tell him, okay, there's gonna be a few more items on here, and he comes in over your limit, your $100,000 limit. Now what happens, you know?
well, pretty close to 47. 46.
See, and this is just, if it's, you know,
If you guys are just hired to do it.
hire him to
Yeah.
do it.
Which I think if we look at this a little different and, like I said, take out that mobilization, obviously he's not gonna have that cost of he'll have some cost there for mobilization.
So,
But being that he's close, it might be the 20 that we were kind of guessing at. That you'd be
Well, we
under
could even
that.
kick her up to 90 and still be fine. 95, you know, and then you get so much better, right?
Right.
Do we gotta come up with something to justify 95?
I think what I'll do is go back and, really look at these quantities, take out traffic control, redo the mobilization, come back with
And
what our
then
estimate is
and then-
there and some, and plans, and then we can go through that process and
throw in the topsoil and different
Yeah.
things.
maybe just make seating an incidental item to it and,
I don't know, Neil raised his hand.
Are you guys trying to stay under the 100,000?
Well, we just know that, I mean, it's not an issue, but we just know that it's not gonna come to 100,000.
Okay, well,
And if we go to 100,000, you know, and then we're gonna get guys from all over, you know, asking questions, which is no big deal.
but the state changed it to 150 now without having an engineer involved in calling for bids. I was just wondering if that's why you're trying to stay under 100.
Well,
I-
for
that's
number
what I
one,
was
for number one,
thinking.
FEMA's only giving us 70,000,
Okay.
you know, so if we got 100,000, the guys put in their bid, they're gonna go up to that, to what her bid is, you know what I'm saying? You know, and that's my biggest concern. If Jess puts out 112,000, Kerry says, well, I'm probably gonna get it, I'm gonna go to 110. You know, I'm not saying he's gonna do that, but why wouldn't you go up to that if you could make a few extra bucks?
we're trying to get the most bang for a buck out of it, because the township's in trouble the way it is, you know?
I just
Mike won't-
thought if you were going to put the bids, the legislature has changed that from 100,000 to 150.
But we just, in the past, when we put stuff down, it always comes up pretty close to what
right,
the engineer puts down.
So they know
Because they can.
They know what they're doing.
Well, sure. I mean, that's our concern, and we only got 70,000 from FEMA, so to speak, right, Jerry, for the project, so we wanna,
Try to keep it within, like you said, David, even if it went to 85.
yeah. But yeah, do that.
we can do that. And I will double check with, yeah, I'll get that stuff put together and we can start thinking about that route.
Because it won't get done this year anyway.
No,
No.
no.
No, we're gonna have to request an extension on it. And when I talked to Randy about that extension, he was thinking, ask for an extension probably till November of next year, just because even if we put an August completion date on it, you know, we have some paperwork and stuff from FEMA to get together and yet for them to. So maybe we look at something like that, maybe in August or something, completion date, so that you're not dragging it out all summer too, but they won't get in there and they need it done. Okay, sure, sounds good. The only other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was your federal aid stuff that we talked about in, And I don't know if you got anything from Brian, you probably didn't get any sheet back from him yet, I'm sure not.
No, they
since it just
signed the
met.
one today on what was there before, because they said when we were down there, nothing changed, so it hasn't changed.
Did it change?
No, but we had on the one before, we had on there, the grading of Highway 30. Are you still wanting to keep that on your federal aid sheet?
I don't think we're going to, I think that's,
We just had chip seal and grade and aggregate, county line north of 17.
Right, yep, that second project there is your Highway 30 regrade.
Okay.
So it's up to you guys, obviously, you can leave it on there if you want, I don't have, I just.
Well, if we get a new one, he can re-sign another one, but should I hold on to this then, maybe not send it in?
Did that come from the state after our meeting?
No.
Okay,
this is the August
okay,
meeting.
so, yep, they'll send you out a new one, and that's the one you want to
Okay.
review
That'll
and
come
sign
up
it,
next
yep,
meeting.
yep. So, I don't know if there's any other projects that you guys wanna look at to put on there. You're gonna have some monies left over through your House bill and Senate bill funds. I figured, just based on my estimates, like maybe 400,000 remaining to spend on something. Maybe we look at an overlay of
Well, we could.
which way is west in this building. The west
The truck.
mile and a
Oh,
half
that.
of an overlay there, a 2-inch overlay. Would use up those funds,
Yep, that'd be a good.
that would be a good.
Yeah, that would be-
At least the mile one from,
at least the amount south.
one going west.
What is that cost per mile over there?
Well, you know, that one, I know there's a patch in there, so I was figuring maybe 250 a mile.
Oh, okay.
So you probably have room in there in your house
Oh.
funds. You'd have to use both, the 1176 and 2103 funds.
Mhm.
Sure,
So if we
have how much left over?
I brought it with me here, sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
you'd have to do both miles,
You'd possibly be able to do both, it would just kind of depend on where your bids come in for the other ones. too.
Mile and a half.
It's a mile and a half.
What?
It's only a mile
457.
and a half up to the rail track.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mom,
So I think we'd have pretty close to able to do
huh?
it.
Yeah, okay, to do both, yeah, that wouldn't be a full mile, wouldn't it?
Mile and a half miles.
Yeah, right, okay, sure.
then they'd be, that would last for 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
because you're getting up to, when was that originally paved?
What?
2006 maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
72.
2006.
Six. I know I was,
So you're getting 10 years anyway.
yeah, it would be 10 years.
Something that we could think about, otherwise we're, we need to start thinking about other projects for those funds too. If we don't do that, if we don't go that route.
I just
Yeah,
I
assumed
didn't-
that and then we got all our pavement covered.
Then it's done.
I think we'd have all our pavement done.
I know that Highway 30 needs some work in spots, and I don't know if that really would qualify for that or not.
Well,
But I don't.
It's gotta connect though, Mike.
I wouldn't do it when I
Probably
had
said
fine.
Well, that would connect.
Yeah, but where are you gonna do work? You'd have to start on the north end, it connects to the other 30.
Oh, it's
we had,
17.
Bonneau County did a project, and I can look into it a little further, on the Lander Road, where they did some subgrade repairs in a few different spots with the intent that the next year they would do, I think, a re-graveling of it. So, I can ask a little bit and look into that and see how that one went and see if that's a possibility that on Highway 30 you could do something similar. Look at some subgrade repairs in some spots with the intent of re-graveling, reshaping and re-graveling. And I mean, that one probably needs a regrade, obviously, but.
Right, yeah.
But not purchasing any land.
Right, you have to be within your existing right of way there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Which is where the issue comes up
Mhm.
with regrading, that you have to purchase new right of way.
Well,
Hmm.
you're gonna look into.
Yeah, I can see if that would be a possibility to look at some
I mean,
spots.
I would be sooner, we see this, yeah.
Me too, I think there's so much traffic on those two bypasses.
Right.
Okay, well, I'll look at, put together some stuff and see if we can get the other mile and a half of the truck route. At least submit it for approval, and if you end up, you don't have the money to do it or something, then we're not out anything, but. And then Highway 30, how many spots would you say probably are?
Oh, I would
needing some
like to know.
repair?
We'd have to talk to Mike.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do some asking about it, we can talk about it in the future here, and Yep.
through the winter.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those funds will have to be committed by the end of next year, I believe.
Mhm.
Maybe it's 17, I don't remember which is which.
That money gets available by the end of February, 1st of March.
Yeah, right, some of it doesn't come available till then, right?
That's
And then
Yeah,
they want, and then they want
1176.
us to bid it in February, March, right? According to the state, when they're down, they want to bid it earlier, right?
I think they'd like to have stuff bid, yeah, as soon as they can, so that money's working. But you have some time on that.
When I talked to them about that no passing zone, are they gonna contact me or you, or who will they contact on it?
I think they'll pass it on to the district, and then I suppose maybe the district will contact.
Who's that, who would that be?
That was like,
Yep, that would be Greg Semenko, I suppose,
Who?
yeah. Greg Semenko
Oh, okay,
is
yeah.
the district
Yeah, great.
engineer in Devils Lake. Yeah. And the other thing they talked about was those highway safety funds program and submitting projects for that, and I just printed that document out yesterday, so I'll take a look at that and see. It looked like you guys did have some, they had some recommendations for like signing and rumble strips or something.
oh, yeah.
We can look into that and see if there's something that should be submitted there too. I don't know a lot about that program, so I'll have to dig into that a little bit.
They talked about that person that's supposed to be in charge, what do they call it? In charge?
Responsible charge, yeah, responsible charge.
Yeah. Remember that?
Yep.
And that would, we talked, that would be like David in his area.
Right, yeah, they want somebody in the county involved, like in this, you know, that they know what estimates are happening and things like that, yeah. Especially on federal aid projects.
You know, Karen and I went to a meeting, it's on the Great Plains,
Upper Great
Upper Great Plains.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they even talked about load limits as high as 129,000. Have you heard that?
I know, I haven't.
Didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
But they're thinking of moving the roads to that.
Really?
Really?
They just moved on the 105 line?
Yeah, 105 was their stuff. Now,
105, yeah, 5.
I mean, I'm wondering about these county roads at 105. 129, I think.
I suppose we're seeing bigger and bigger loads all the time, and especially out
And he
west.
says, well, it depends on the axles.
Right, and it does depend on the axles, that the road necessarily doesn't have to be built to that. It's that you have to be, what the trucks have to load a specific way to meet that.
And they have to be so far, you know, the axles, so they can't be right together.
Yeah, and you also gotta be licensed for that way too.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know, because most of these semis are probably licensed for 80,000.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, you didn't.
No, I have not heard that, but.
No, there was some concern about that.
Yeah,
They brought that.
yeah,
Okay.
okay. Anything else for me now? Okay,
That's
well,
good.
we'll see how Julia is.
Could I ask a question on the
Sure.
drainage situation the city had, up the elevator up there? You know,
On First Street
we
there?
requested some help, have you turned that
Well, I
in to
could
the
have.
company for completions?
Here.
What did you do with it?
No, I didn't, no.
Did you forward that
This guy
bill?
brought something.
Did you get that bill forwarded to you?
He gave me a copy, I guess,
Morning.
I believe he did.
What do you got there?
I don't know what,
Done anything with it?
no, yeah,
I mean, typically the street, you guys went the street down, and then you came back and there was a drainage problem and you didn't solve it. You got farther to the north, I'm sure you weren't there.
it was my understanding that, and I talked to people a lot, because, right, I wasn't involved, but there was a drainage issue there prior, and it sounded like there was a discussion that they wouldn't be able to be completely resolved. They tried to alleviate some of it, but because of the situation as it was, and the house being where it was, the level, or but
But the intersection was lowered and probably shouldn't have been lowered. And then you cut the street, came back, cut the street out, put a 12-inch gutter in here instead of a 6-inch. And where you did that, still didn't solve the problem. So what we did is we cut the entire street down, dropped the curb and gutter, and it will work 97% of the time.
okay.
But your insurance company, you haven't submitted that to them.
No, I don't believe so, no, no.
How
didn't
did
realize
it
that
work?
was
I mean, did it work the last couple of rains?
It has, yeah, I mean, we haven't had a drenching downpour, but it looks like the water is going to run down the street and then daylight over to the east side, the fairgrounds, and follow down, because the hill in front of Jerome Bowlers was just too steep.
No, I,
And we just, I think somebody sent a bill to you guys to see if you would help share cost that. It was a share cost road in the beginning, you know.
I thought the first street was the share one.
The first street was, but when they lowered that intersection, it created the problem going to the fairgrounds. And the water could be, it comes from Main Street all the way right to there and straight out. And that hill, you just didn't go far enough with your engineers and regime.
Yeah, I can see her complaint on that, you know, getting that water coming into her yard.
They went right through her yard. And,
Yeah.
you know, we have an ordinance that states you can't dump water into people's yards. I mean,
Would there be, I mean, would it help if you? Right now, she's got an approach or a driveway there.
Well, it's remedied now, Mike.
Yeah,
It's fine, it's remedied now.
we had to cut the street down, like, because when they put the higher curb in, we had to take her into
Okay.
her driveway, just about bottom out, but not quite.
Oh,
So if
okay.
we had raised that already.
Oh, it is raised, okay.
Yes,
Oh,
it was raised when they put the bigger curb.
I haven't raised, I don't want to look at it.
I did.
So we actually did an inverted street, which to engineers is not, it's the only way we could do it, because we had $180,000 reconstruction estimate, we had $500,000 for the 2-inch culvert that was gonna drain down to the fairgrounds, and how do you deal like a 42-inch in the street?
Right, yeah.
So inverting that street to a point, which you probably don't even notice, it's not a hole when the water's gonna set. And then we did it for about 25,000 or something. I mean, the city did it, you know. Rick and the crew took that out in one day and they were doing a walking path. So I mean,
Oh,
we got by really, I mean, we're no way we'd have bought that lady's house out before we went with all those projects. We had to. But anyway, just, I have job completions, insurance and
Sure.
stuff like that, and they accept any responsibility. Just, I guess I know is all I'm looking for.
okay, yep, I can pass it along to the appropriate channels there and see what,
Appreciate it.
sure, okay.
thank you.
Yep, I'll leave this copy for you guys of June. Estimate.
Okay, Kelsey?
Yeah, see you.
Okay, the reason I'm here is a little over a week ago, Jim Humphrey came into my office and was inquiring about the extraterritorial zoning of the city. He asked that I meet with the city council at the next city meeting and provide the century code definition and kind of explain what's going on. Started this a couple years ago when I got started as planning and zoning administrator, and we talked about it, whether the city should have the full mile or just the half mile, which it states in the century code. Well, last night at the city council meeting, I provided them with the century code. There was a little bit of discussion, and we talked about getting some new maps. But we need to kind of decide exactly what we want to do with that extraterritorial zoning, so that we can get the maps drawn correctly and have specific boundaries for where the city's extraterritorial zoning is and where the county has rights. I believe at the planning and zoning meeting, it was decided that if there was more representation on the city board, they would be fine with the 1 mile. And I believe you guys appointed Tim Ostrom as that position, and he has been on the city's planning and zoning board. So with that, I would assume that you guys are comfortable with the city having the 1 mile, but I need some documentation saying that they have the 1 mile. And then we need to decide where that mile starts, because they can actually extend it to the quarter section, providing that the 1 mile prior, they are inhabiting that quarter mile. There was talk, you guys had talked about doing this only for a specific amount of time and then revisiting it. I guess we just need some clarification on where the city's extraterritorial zoning starts and stops, where the county's takes over. And then from there, we actually need to zone appropriately. And with the city's annexation, we obviously need new maps, our old maps aren't working anymore.
So, I mean, yeah, where would it start?
Well, according to Century Code, they have sole jurisdiction for the first half mile. The second half mile of the mile would be joint jurisdiction, which then, according to Century Code, would require people to bring in their applications to the county board first for approval, and then they turn them over, if it's passed, to the city board for approval. But within written agreements, you can actually relinquish that second half mile to the city, and then they would have a full mile, and then our jurisdiction would start after that. The quarter sections, that would probably be something that, you know, we would have to look at where the city falls in the quarter sections to extend it to them.
I mean, it's not gonna be an even deal the way the city's shaped, you know?
If you do the quarter mile, or the quarter section, then it would be, you know, it would be by
That would
the
be
quarter
okay.
section lines.
That would be probably the way to do it.
Otherwise, I would suggest having an engineer, probably whatever engineer's doing the city maps, extend the mile, because I don't have the computer system good enough to do it.
Yeah.
I just don't.
To extend the 1 mile?
Well, you guys at the meeting agreed that if Tim Ostrom was on the board, you would give the mile.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that that is appropriate, and I want some documentation saying that yes, that is what the intent is, and if you want to revisit it in so many years, you guys need to decide. Or if you want this to go back to planning and zoning for a decision to be brought to you.
I think it probably should.
I think so.
I mean, I really do.
But their recommendation and.
Their recommendation then was, if Tim Ostrom was on the board, they were fine with the 1 mile. You
But
guys
you-
were the ones that brought up the time.
Yeah, I mean, we should have something in writing then, right?
Well, we have their minutes, and
Okay.
we have your minutes,
Okay.
but I would like some actual documentation other than minutes to go with my planning and zoning book, so that I have.
Gee, I'm going
I agree that you probably should, if you're gonna go the 1 mile, do the quarter, so the maps are easier to draw. You know, if that quarter line in that, then it's 1 mile from that. We have city maps, there are these colored ones, I don't know if it'll go out that far because it kind of cuts off.
Well, yeah.
We might have to generate a new map, but God forbid, everybody should have a map so that we know, because right now I just kind of flip a coin. And
Well, and there's a lot of discrepancy. People will come to my office, I send them to City Hall sends them back, and then we end up getting on the phone and trying to figure out who's really responsible. And then we also run into this 1 mile that technically is not zoned at all. The county hasn't zoned their half mile, the city hasn't zoned theirs. And the city's half mile and the county's half mile completely changed with the annexation.
right.
So we do have some work.
So if we meet as a zoning board and come up with a plan, the 1 mile and then quarter.
They've already done that one.
Yeah.
The board has already said that they were fine with the 1 mile. There was a lot of discussion about it. It was probably our longest planning and zoning meeting. There were people opposed and there were people for it, and it did carry. They brought the recommendation to you guys, and it carried, and you guys appointed Tim Ostrom to a city board, which they accepted him on. He has been getting invites to their meetings and going. But when you guys did appoint him, you were talking about possibly doing a time limit. So I don't know if that is something you want.
You mean as a trial basis is what it was?
Well, you guys had talked about doing like a 10-year time frame and then revisiting it. But when you appointed him, I don't think that was part of the motion. So I just want some clear documentation. City Hall wants the same thing, so we know exactly where we're going. And we can get new maps so that this is clear not only for us, but for those that are applying for applications.
What are you insinuating in documentation other than a motion passes?
We need to add it to our actual zoning regulations. if it's the quarter mile as approved by the board, or, you know,
But that just said they approved that once.
no, they did not approve that, they
County
approved
board.
1 mile, but it says in statute that the city can extend it to the quarter mile. I just want you guys to amend the zoning regulations to allow the city to have whatever you want them to have, so that it's clearly documented in my zoning regulations. And then I need to get a pretty map.
We can't do it here today, can we? Or can
You guys aren't the official board.
What kind of problems is that is that gonna be any problems for the county or the city? I mean,
Would it be?
How about the townships, like when they're township, they're organized, I mean, should they be included or not?
Well, I think what you should do is give, I was appointed by the city to work with her. I think we really should get an engineer involved in this and have a map drawn,
So we can
and
provide.
then have you guys in the city approve it. You know what I'm getting at? So that we see where these bounds are, because if we go to planning and zoning, county planning and zoning,
Yeah.
we're not gonna have anything definite, and that's just simple as that. But I would like to see us get the engineer on board that did our maps and extend those out a little bit and figure out this, and then approve it. You understand what I'm saying? So that we don't have people coming back door and.
Well, then you got the map there to say this is
That's
what
right.
it is.
If we go to that county planning and zoning, Dwayne, you and I, and we're not gonna know anything.
No.
Until we have something. So that's my opinion. But we need to go forward, you know, on, I don't know what a map's gonna cost to generate. You know, if we go with a quarter and start with a quarter, because that's easier to draw a map, and then just overlay it on the USDA maps, maybe we can
Oh, yeah.
start with something like that.
I think Meyer Township joined the county's
They
zoning
did.
ordinance.
I just, all my concern is to have everybody included then.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't want to have something going on, we
Yeah,
didn't know nothing about it, but no, I don't.
and you know, you hate, you know, spend money all the time, but I guess you almost have to have an engineer involved, you know?
Well, and it would probably be more cost effective to have the engineer that's already drawing the city maps.
Yeah, we have the color maps with the aerial overlay, which makes more sense than typical maps like that, everybody likes.
So
those better.
what does that, I mean, what is that gonna cost?
I don't know.
I mean,
I told the city I would find out. Now, we'll have to find out from you guys, because it's gonna be a cooperative situation.
so would that be a cost that we split, or?
I would think so. I don't.
I would say so. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
it's benefits,
it benefits both
benefits
of
us
us
both.
completely. We don't know.
Right.
I mean, we have something to go to anyway.
Yeah.
Say, here it is, it's on, engineer drawed this out.
This is what we should present to them, and if they don't like the quarter, then I don't know any other way to draw it, but I'm not smart enough. No.
I don't have the equipment to do the one.
Right, yeah.
Just don't. The quarter, that would easily be done, you could do that, like you said, on the USDA.
I could just about draw that on myself, but,
Yeah,
you know,
that would be simple
I'm
enough,
not an
but
engineer.
the 1 mile from the city limits would be the tricky one to draw, that we would need an engineer involved in.
Well, I think we should go with them.
With what?
Go with the city, say we'll do the map. Pay our share.
Oh, yeah.
And the way we're gonna move forward with it is.
I will find out what the share is before we
Yeah.
do it.
We would like to know what the
But,
share is
I mean,
before.
we do too in the city.
It's like you say, I think it'll be, I don't think it'll be, I don't know.
With the overlay of these maps nowadays that you can pull on the computer, and you could do it too, but it's downloading and printing them, because whenever I come up here, I bring a map from what we have, it's just easier to see,
Yeah.
an aerial map. We're not gonna have a plane fly over and charge $10,000 to do this.
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
Yeah,
But a drone for 5.
Well, I think, do we need a motion to say that we would like a proposal for how much it's going to cost before we actually decide to go with it?
I think so.
Well, I want you guys on board, just like the city is on board,
Mhm.
you know.
I don't know if there needs to be a motion or what's that, so.
Is there a motion to find out how much this map will cost and We'll look at it.
I'll move.
Okay, moved by Rick. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mike. Any more discussion?
And you're gonna do the checking, I mean, find somebody to get the cost, right?
I think so. I mean, that's what we'll start with our maps and see what we can do. And remember, our maps
Proposal.
don't have the Chelmsford addition on them yet. It doesn't have where Rockbridge didn't
A
come in.
map
And
of the city.
we just need to get this,
A mile
A
long.
mile.
so that you know what's yours and what's ours and where it's at. You're gonna get one this big, 11 by 17 is all you. It's gonna be on your computer, okay?
Okay, this motion is that we get a map of the city and a mile beyond.
A proposal on cost first.
Not the quarter, just a mile?
No, the quarter, well, I would,
Well, the
Add in what it's
quarter
gonna
we
be.
can do. That one I think would be simple enough unless we want them to.
let's start with that one and see how much complaints we get at the planning and zoning meeting when we present this. Isn't that the way we?
Well, did you just make a comment, you thought the quarter was more accurate?
Yes.
I think that's what we should go for,
Yeah.
I said in the mile, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right,
So this would be the quarter.
right.
So the motion is to get a proposal cost on a map to do a map for the city of Rugby on a quarter mile.
And county, city and county.
City and county.
City and county.
Would it be much more to add the mile then?
What's that?
Would it be much more to add the mile then? Of course, we could figure out the mile.
No,
The quarter
It
would
would
be
be a
the
lot,
easier
yeah, I
one
mean,
to figure out.
4 quarters.
Yeah.
If that quarter sits in the city limits, it goes to the next quarter and includes that. Is that correct?
If the majority of the city encompasses that quarter, then you go out 1 mile from there and include that quarter
Right.
section.
Okay. That way we draw section lines.
So I mean, that one's
Yeah.
simple enough. It's the actually extending the city limits 1 mile that I can't do it.
And that might be a little difficult out here with the correctional line too, I suppose.
Really difficult.
That's why we're-
Difficult on that correction line.
that's why the quarter.
That's why we want an engineer to do it.
Right, yeah.
The first map costs money, the rest are just copies, those are cheap.
They can overlay it. Yeah. But see, what our city map, Rick, doesn't go out as far.
Yeah.
It covers part of the county, like the lagoon system,
Yeah.
but, you know, going north, it doesn't cover, going south, it goes to the museum.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign, carried. Any other? Dale, did you have something?
Yep, I have one other thing, and I do appreciate this cooperation with the county, and that's one of the reasons I'm here. Basically, we talked about the rent on the jail,
Oh,
where we got sent a bill for $14,200. Okay? I went out there, and I haven't been out there since I built the place, and just looked at the office situation that's out there. The sheriff has an office, the chief has an office, BCI